What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome back to the channel. So I am back with another Diddy update, you guys. So P. Diddy was denied bail. So his bail request was denied. Cassie says that Diddy is a threat. So I want to show to you the request that Cassie actually put in to deny Diddy's bail because she believes that he is a threat to her and others. So a jury acquitted Sean Diddy Combs, as we already know, on the most serious charges against him in a federal crime trial that captivated fervent onlookers and casual watchers alike. Of course, we know that he was acquitted of the most, serious charges, which was the racketeering and trafficking charges, and he was charged with the minor charges, which has something to do with prostitution. So those are the charges that he was charged with. Jurors found Combs guilty of 2 prostitution charges, which carry a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison on each count. So if perhaps they decided to give him the full amount of charges with this 10 years per count, that could give him a total of possibly 20 years in prison. But most people don't think that he's going to get that, but we just never know. So Diddy was under the impression that he was going to get bail and be able to walk out of prison today, but that did not happen for P. Diddy. He is going to be in jail until his hearing, which is now scheduled for October the 3rd. So he is going to be in jail, as we know of, as of today, until October 3rd, which will be his hearing. Now, they're saying that they might be able to push that hearing date up so that he can maybe make bail at that time and possibly get out sooner. But they're going to meet next week on Tuesday to decide his fate as it relates to whether his hearing can be pushed up and he can possibly make bail and get out of jail. But he is not in the clear. He still has charges from anywhere up to 10 years for each count. We don't know what that's going to look like. Only time will tell. But for right now, his bail was denied. And he is still sitting in prison. Now, this is the form that Cassie filled out, or the request that she filled out to deny Mr. Combs to be released pending his sentencing on his 2 convictions under 18 U.S.C. 2421, pursuant to the Bail Reform Act of 18 U.S.C. Detention is mandatory post-conviction on these charges. And Ms. Ventura believes that Mr. Combs is likely to pose a danger to the victims who testified in this case, including herself as well as the community. It goes on to say, we thank the court for its time and attention to this matter. So this is once again what spearheaded them, in my opinion, denying his bail, because Cassie put in a request to deny his bail, and that is exactly what they did. Yeah, he's from what we're hearing now, he's still in jail. He won't
Let's
be getting
bring
out.
in Lisa Evers.
Pay attention to
here.
this.
We're learning right now, Lisa, that apparently bond has been denied.
Okay, that's
Well, I don't know if that's getting it. Let's use this one.
Let's get Jeremy here.
Yeah, Jeremy, can you come back in here when you get a moment? So what we had been positioned for was an argument that because the jury found Sean Diddy Combs guilty only on the lesser of the charges, that there was a presumption that he might be able to go home. The judge even asked him at one point, I imagine you don't want to go back to MDC. He nodded vigorously.
Of course.
Right? Let's use this microphone. I'm not sure if that one works. And Jeremy, if you'll come in here
Jeremy.
too. Should we start with Jeremy's reaction?
Jeremy Salland is with us. He's a criminal defense attorney and former Manhattan prosecutor. And the bail, the news is that bail has been denied.
Yeah, that the judge...
So there is the law, the statute says in substance that bail would be denied, meaning that he goes and stays in. There's not an exception. For example, there could be an exception where the prosecution says we consent, and there's other pieces to it as well. There could be a danger to somebody or not, but the bail being kept as it is not necessarily atypical because of the law, though one would believe the fact that he was not convicted of the top charge, and it's been a reduction, and people do walk free and come back and RROR'd.
Well, keeping the bail as it is means there's no bail.
Right. So he's remanded, he's held without bail. So this doesn't change the potential sentence, obviously, because it's still up to 10 years, but for the immediate gratification purposes of getting out, doing what he needs to do, and now it's been stripped.
And let me just add, this morning the prosecution was very adamant about wanting to have this extra time to present their argument to the judge, and seemed obviously they were disappointed with the verdict. It was very visible and very obvious, but they wanted to keep him behind bars, and they said, Your Honor, we need several hours to really get this whole argument together for you, and that's pretty stunning.
But again, I think you have to go back to what the law is and what it allows for, and generally speaking, barring some exception, the Bail Reform Act says you're staying, you're not just getting released. He was convicted of a crime. I think people, rightfully so, are disappointed and have questions from the public's perspective when you have such a horrific allegation that is not proven or substantiated beyond a reasonable doubt. And summarily, we're not talking about on the cusp. That's a pretty quick verdict that I think fooled many people, thinking that there might have been a sex trafficking conviction. He's walking scot-free in terms of any allegation of coercion, force, fraud, violence, but he's still in custody.
Okay, so
Yeah, I find that interesting. And if y'all know about these types of cases and things, please enlighten me in the comments, because I'm not familiar with court laws and all of this stuff. But is this unusual, the fact that he's been found not guilty on these major coercion, ex trafficking charges and all this? None of this stuff held up. He's found not guilty. Is it normal for him to be held without bail, or is this, the last ditch effort to try to show him, okay, you're not really just getting off scot-free, that we're going to hold you here as long as we can just to torture you? I'm wondering if that's the case, or is this normal for him to be held without bail, even though these major crimes that he was charged with, he was found not guilty of those, but he still gets to stay in jail until his hearing. Is that unusual? I want to know. Let me know in the comments, because I have no clue. So let's continue.
Can we just ask Jeremy, was it a difficult decision for the judge? Was legally?
I think the judge is not finding any exception and following the law, and that's why he's staying there. The hope from the prosecution, though they didn't, the defense, though they didn't raise it specifically in their letter to the court, was that yes, there may be the Bail Reform Act, and that was what the prosecution relied on, since statutorily you can't just let him walk. The prosecution was hoping, the defense was hoping that the judge would look past that and say, he's returned, he shows that he can follow the court order, he's not going to flee, and he's not a danger to anyone specifically or the community at large.
Now, I think with Cassie putting in that request, I think that helped to keep him from getting bail, because she's basically saying, she is the person that is saying, hey, he can't be trusted, that he is a threat to society, basically. And so that might be a reason for them to hold him without bail, because of the request she put in. And then they're saying the hearing is set, as we know of now, in October, but that of course could change. They could push it up, to get to it. So we'll see how that all unfolds, and see if Diddy actually walks out, or if he's going to actually do more jail time. He's been in jail for almost 10 months at this point. I'm pretty sure they may use that part of that sentencing as time served, the time that he's already served in there. But it's going to be interesting to see how much time he actually gets, because on one hand, people were thinking, oh, he's going to walk out of here, today. But that is not the case. We're not sure when he's going to walk out. So once again, this is not a slam dunk, because people were thinking, oh, he's gotten off, but he still could possibly do jail time. But let's continue.
And then let me ask you this, in terms of the appealing this decision, what's the process now that the defense will have to go through in order to appeal the judge's decision of no bail?
I would expect that he's not going anywhere anytime soon, appeal or not. I think that they're going to follow the judge. I haven't heard what the judge said, so it's hard for me to just speak on an island here. But based on the law as we know it, I think the judge has ample ground to stand on and make this decision.
Man, I'm so glad Diddy free, bro. The reason is because I'm tired of seeing us black moguls get took down like that, bro. And I'm tired of seeing us black people go against us black moguls like that. And I feel like if Diddy was a white man who done all this shit for people, I know he ain't paid people, but if he done all this shit for hip hop, if he was white, they would have had so many white people out there protesting for this man losing his life behind a relationship, And people always, Boosie was on Diddy's side. Nah, it ain't that. It's because I'm thinking about 7 children. Y'all thinking about one person. I'm thinking about these 7 kids who been in my kid's position. Not knowing if your daddy gonna come home or not is a burden on the child. So all y'all was like, no, I'm thinking about them damn children, man. So man, I'm glad he free, bro. You know, like I've been said, I don't feel he was guilty of nothing. You know.
Now Boosie, he ain't free yet. Now, you know, he wasn't charged
nothing but domestic violence. You know. But
and I said that too. Let me say that real quickly. I said, if anything, it seems based off testimony and all of the evidence presented that this is a domestic violence case. This is not a RICO case. This is not all that other stuff. This is a domestic violence case. But a domestic violence case would not have as much implication. He wouldn't have as much time on his hands, you know, of being in jail. That could have been something simple. You know, a little bit more simpler that would not have made such a major deal as RICO charges and all of that. You know what I mean? Let's continue.
The court spoke, man, and man, I'm happy that dude children, man. I know his feeling right now, bro. I'm just happy for them children, man. So, you know, Diddy, sit your ass down somewhere. That's what you need to do. Grab Stevie J and your children and get the
I've been to a few of his parties, and there's been nothing but generosity and positivity, and I've never seen anything negative ever.
Are you a friend of his?
I just, like, friends of friends.
Okay, so how do you feel about the verdict today?
I'm very happy, and I feel like justice was served.
Diddy ass beat the feds. No matter how you look at it, he beat the feds. And people always be like, oh, you can't beat the feds. Yada. Diddy beat the feds. And if I were Diddy, right, when I get out, because I wholeheartedly feel like they're about to let him walk on bond. He's going to be out on bond. He's going to go home. He'll be able to travel and live his normal life until sentencing. And then I think when he gets sentenced, I think it's going to be very minimum. Like, well, you're sentenced to 1 year in prison. You already did 1 year in jail. You probation 10 years, whatever the case may be. I think it's going to be very minimum, but I do think he's going to go home today. But once I got home, what I would do is I would reach out to Baby Oil, because he's going to have more freak offs. He's going to keep with the same program. I would reach out to Baby Oil for a partnership. I would make sure that I am getting girls from the state that I'm in. I would, you know what I'm saying? I would like stick to the regular program, because he has an addiction to that. He's going to continue. And Young Miami has already made a post. I'm going to put it here. She's doing her little clock it thing. Matter of fact, right here, just watch this. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be back to normal routine with his girls, whether it's Young Miami, Gina, or whoever it is. I think it's back to normal routine, get to busting it open. That's just my opinion.
I have spent the last many weeks inside this courthouse for the Sean Diddy Combs trial, and today, after the verdict came down, I found myself in the elevator with two of his sons and a bunch of other family members. When I tell you they were jubilant. They were jumping up and down to the point where I really thought that the elevator might even break, might stop. They were banging on the doors, shouting, "Let's go, let's go." It was a lot. It was intense. They were clearly thrilled with the outcome today. Christian Combs said that he was overjoyed, said Diddy is free. And then they were talking about planning a 4th of July party in Miami, speaking as if Sean Combs is going to be there. Now, we don't know yet whether or not he's going to be out before sentencing or whether he's going to be held until sentencing. That's all going to get determined later today. But in that elevator, they think that Sean Combs is coming home. So it was wild.
How you doing? Not bad. How are you?
Anything you want the public to know?
Not yet. We'll be saying something soon.
Oh my God, I don't think you guys are going to believe it. The verdict is officially in. They have just read it. And remember, Diddy is being charged with 5 separate counts. In the matter of U.S. versus Combs, count 1, which was racketeering conspiracy, he was found not guilty. Count 2, which was ex-trafficking of Cassandra Ventura, he was found not guilty. Count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution with Cassie, he was found guilty. Count 4, as trafficking of Jane, he was found not guilty. Count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution with Jane, guilty. With Diddy only being found guilty on the 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, he only faces a sentence of up to 10 years. After the judge thanked the jurors, he said, "You guys can go back to the jury room. I will thank you personally. I just need to speak to the lawyers." The jury left, and Mark Agnifilo, who is Diddy's attorney, says to him he is no longer charged with trafficking or racketeering. His plane has been chartered. It's in Maui. He does not have access to his plane. This is his first conviction, and it is a prostitution offense. He should be released. He continues, his family is here and could sign a bond. He should be released today to go back and live at 2-Star Island. The judge responds saying, "This is just coming up right now. I will hear from the government in a moment. Are you proposing he just walk outside right now?" Mark Agnifilo said, "Yes." This is absolutely so crazy. I will let you know if the judge allows him to walk freely, but I just wanted to post this because this is so crazy.
Government is who you blame if you feel that these victims didn't get justice because he was guilty of the domestic violence and all those things. But you know what they did? They swung for the fence and they went for a RICO.
Basically today the jury decided that a RICO is not a RICO.
How do you feel about the verdict today?
I'm very happy. I feel like justice was served. I've been to a few of his parties, and there's been nothing but generosity and positivity, and I've never seen anything negative ever.
I'm an independent journalist that had predicted this was going to be what happened. I said the RICO is weak.
Hopefully he do get some therapy. Hopefully he does get some help. Seek some help. Stay away from the drugs and the addiction. But my question is for the people that were complicit, that you think he was guilty. What about everybody that got supposed immunities and proffer agreements and all that?
Now wait, now he had a good point. You know, what about everybody else who was complicit in all of this? This is what I'm saying. It's a one-sided deal. You know, how could one person be charged with all of this and the other people involved? And even Cassie herself was involved with it. She gets immunity. People get immunity because they know that they could possibly be charged for some of the same crimes, but it's not going to be looked at the same if it's a woman involved. But it's always condemn the men. Somehow the men's supposed to know better, and the women, grown women, can do the same thing and they just get a pass. That's the only thing I'm saying. If he did that and Cassie was involved and others were involved, why can't they be charged with the same crimes? That's the part I don't understand, which I think is one-sided and unfair. You know what I mean? That's just my thoughts. Let's continue.
I just came out of the courtroom where Sean Diddy Combs was found not guilty of the most serious charges he faced: racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Mr. Combs was found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, both of which have a 10-year maximum sentence. So he is potentially facing up to 20 years. The judge in the case is going to be coming back in a couple of hours to listen to arguments from both sides as to whether Mr. Combs should be released.
And we're going to get you out there. Don't worry about that. And that's what Diddy did. He could have snitched and messed a lot of people up, but he didn't. I ain't no hate on nobody. Everybody make their own choices. That man didn't do all that crap by himself. Now, he might have been stupid, mad, crazy about that freaky deaky punk, bunking boys and all that kind of crap. You know, I ain't down with that kind of crap. He might have been a bunky boy. But, all them charging that man, they can't pin that on that man like that, man.
Listen, you know, this is some of the responses of people who had an opinion on the whole situation. It is what it is. So I mean, a lot of people are in an uproar about this. His family was hoping and praying that he will come home. They had things put in place for bond, and I think they were saying he would have at least $1 million bond, which I'm sure they was ready to make that bond, but that did not happen. So I guess we'll see hopefully next week if they, push the hearing up, or if they decide to, grant him bail, and if he's actually going to be out on bail, or if he's going to have to stay in until his sentencing. So I want to get y'all thoughts on this particular video. Chime in. I want to hear what you have to say, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.